Next, we get talking about the University of Ghana and its strategic plan over the next 5 years. Joining me in the studio, I have Professor Gordon Awandare, and he, of course, is Pro-Vice Chancellor in terms of academic and student affairs, and he is also Director of WAC-BIP at the University of Ghana. Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
Did I get your designation right?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Let's talk first of all, since this is practically your area, which is why I brought in WAC-BIP. Let's talk about dengue fever and this latest development. Dr. Franklin Asiedu-Bekwai, Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, made mention of the fact that, we've not had that many cases over the years. So it makes for interesting reading why in 2024 alone, in the eastern region, we have this number of cases.
Yeah.
What can you share with us on this development?
Well, thank you very much. So, as you know, as scientists, we like to go on evidence. And so, we still are not clear why there's this outbreak. But like the Director of Public Health mentioned, dengue has always been in the system, in the background. Indeed, in 2014, one of our PhD students at WAC-BIP did a study in children.
2014, you said?
2014, yes.
Wow.
Children who had malaria. And we just screened them for other pathogens that they may have. And we found that about 2% of them actually had dengue virus in addition to
the malaria.
Yes, and in fact, when we look at antibodies, more than 14% of them had antibodies to dengue. So it's something that has been in the system, and it's not surprising.
So they had, when you say the antibodies, so they had, because they
had been exposed.
Also developed some level of resistance.
Yes, that means they had been exposed to the virus before, and they had developed some level of resistance. Yes.
Wow.
So it's something that has been in the system, but for viruses, there's always a time where there's an opportunity to search and create an outbreak like we're seeing currently, and we have to do the investigations to find out why there's this current outbreak. But it's not surprising; it's just a matter of course that once you have the virus circulating in the background, there'll be a time where there will be an outbreak and you have an increased number of cases. So I don't think we should panic. We just need to take the necessary precautions, and then it will resolve itself in the coming weeks. I'm very sure.
If you look at how we're addressing it so far, because interestingly, it has no cure. You can only be given some painkillers to manage the pain. It's also, in some cases, asymptomatic. You will not even know. In some cases, it resolves on its own.
Correct.
In other cases, people will end up in hospital in severe cases.
Yes.
So maybe, finally, your thoughts to those watching us. What should we be looking out for?
Yeah, so let's look out for the symptoms. The symptoms would be very similar to malaria, for example. So when you have those symptoms, let's not assume that it's malaria. Let's go and get tested. If you rule out malaria, then you should. I'm sure the doctors will then take the next step of taking your sample and sending it to Noguchi for further, testing. But like I said, we just need to take the necessary precautions and not panic. This is not another COVID, so let's not go into a state of panic because of this one. It is, of course, a concern because, like you said, can cause severe disease. But the solution is not to panic and start having any knee-jerk reactions.
Right. Integrity proceedamos, or as they would say, proceedamos. With integrity we proceed. That's the motto, in case you didn't know, of the University of Ghana. 76.
You are now 76 years old.
Yes.
And I'm wearing my anniversary.
Yes, I see that. Tell us about this initiative, this strategic plan that tomorrow is going to be launched at the Great Hall of the University of Ghana.
Yes, thank you. So, as we all know, the landscape for tertiary education has changed significantly. Our previous strategic plan was from 2014 to 2024. So we have just ended that, or we are just ending that period, and we are now entering into a new phase.
Before you talk about the new phase, I'm sorry to interrupt. The old phase, what you had, the plan, has it been fully executed?
Well, so it's part of the process of developing the new strategic plan. What we did was we took stock of what had been achieved and what didn't work so well, and that fed into the development of the new strategic plan. Okay. Obviously, there are so many things that can change in 10 years, and that includes specifically funding for tertiary education. It has become much more challenging in terms of support we get from government, our ability to compete for students and for funding from other sources such as grants. And so, all these were taken into account in designing the new strategy. But there's no doubt that we made significant progress. The last strategic plan, the main goal was to position the university as a research-intensive university. And if you look at the progress that has been made over the last 10 years, there's no doubt that our research has been strengthened significantly. Centers such as WACBIP that we're talking about came up within the last 10 years. And that was part of the vision of the university to drive research excellence and to recruit talented scientists who can do research and who can attract funding to the university. So we've made significant progress in that direction. We've actually developed a very robust grants management system to support research. And all these have significantly been strengthened over the last
when you started talking about research, that was exactly what came to mind, funding.
Yes, funding. It's I hope we get more time to talk about it. It's a key a challenge for research, especially in our part of the world where we don't have committed government funding for research. I always talk about the Research and Innovation Fund, which was supposed to be established. The bill has been passed, but it hasn't been implemented. And each time I get an opportunity, I appeal to the president to implement it, especially before he leaves, because that will be a great legacy for the president to implement the Research and Innovation Fund.
And I think the appeal should also go to corporate bodies, because in other parts of the world, you can have one researcher with over 50, research grants from different MNCs, institutions, and all of that. Actually, we don't see that much in our part of the world.
No. So you're perfectly right. But the catalyst has to come from government. Right. I believe that if the government sets up this fund, many international funding organizations would contribute to it. I believe that many private sector institutions would contribute to it. But government needs to provide, you need to provide the platform for people to contribute. If the government starts it and puts a few $1 million on there, others will come on board and succeed. In fact, other funders will match whatever the government has put in there. So I think it's something that we need to move forward with. But anyway, we need to talk about strategic plan.
The 5-year development plan.
Yeah, we need to talk about the strategic plan.
So what are we looking at?
Yeah, so the vision is to create global impact through through innovative research, teaching and learning, using technology-driven and a people-centered approach. And so for us to do this, we have identified 5 key priorities, or what we call strategic priorities. The first is a transformative student experience. Second is impactful research. The third is our commitment to our faculty and staff. The fourth is engagement and partnerships. And the fifth one is sustainable resource mobilization and stewardship. Yeah, so I can talk briefly about each of these. So with the first one, which is a transformative student experience, we are repositioning our teaching and learning approach to make it more student-centered, to enhance the experience of our students in the University of Ghana, to provide them a holistic, education that in addition to providing them the technical education, we want to also enhance their personal development. We want to enhance their prospects to be successful in the world of work, and we want to also support their, both their mental and physical well-being. And that is, part of the key to providing a transformative student experience.
So you're taking it a notch higher.
Yeah.
And, sometimes some have questioned over time the relevance of some of our syllabi and the courses and the programs we take.
Exactly.
I believe all of that has been factored into this transformative experience.
Absolutely. And we are going to also, rely a lot on technology. These days, the teaching and learning environment is technology driven, and the University of Ghana, we are embracing that, and we're going to further enhance our teaching and learning facilities to ensure that the students have a modern student experience, which empowers them to compete globally.
All right,
Yeah.
and that's important, what you just said, because I was just about to go there. Empowers them to compete
Globally.
so that they will not be, receiving the short end of the stick.
Absolutely.
They'll be having all the
It's
opportunities.
very important that our students are able to compete globally. University of Ghana is one of the leading universities in the world, and our students have always done well wherever they've gone. And we need to sustain and even improve on that. Those of us who studied abroad after graduating from University of Ghana, we really appreciated the value of the training we got from the University of Ghana.
Yeah.
When we went there, we could, compete and actually
You could stand your
actually outperform others who had enjoyed education in the
Okay,
US
so
and other
I know
places.
you want to move on to the second point.
Yes.
My apologies, because someone sent in a message and it feeds into the first, so I have to bring it in. Akidago Muniru says, don't forget to help them get affordable accommodation. Accommodation.
Yes.
I know it feeds into this.
So that comes with our commitment to our students as well. So
Okay, all right.
One of the things that has happened over the years is that 10 years ago, we had only about half of the student numbers that we have now. And so even though we made efforts to increase student accommodation, the growth in student numbers far outstripped the capacity for accommodation. And same with academic facilities as well. Lecture rooms and teaching facilities, laboratories, all these are under a lot of pressure because the student numbers have significantly increased. So there's the need to keep pace with the student numbers. And that's one of the things that we have to focus on in the next 5 years, hopefully with the support of government. Yeah. So the next one is impactful research. This is in furtherance of our main strategic goal in the last 10 years, which is to position the university as a research-intensive university. We want to emphasize interdisciplinary research. We want to emphasize collaborative research. The problems of this world, both old problems such as poverty, climate change and others, as well as new ones such as emerging and re-emerging diseases like we just talked about, as well as financial crisis all over the place. These call for new approaches to research, which would bring an interdisciplinary view of it, because research is much strengthened if you have people with different perspectives, different backgrounds. Now we do research, you have statisticians, you have mathematicians, and you have molecular biologists like myself. And this enriches the research, because these days research is not just what you do in the lab. It includes a lot of computerized work, modeling, and statistical
analysis.
Yes, and these all bring require different sets of skills rather than just the normal technical skills that we have been taught. So that's for impactful research. The third one is commitment to our faculty and staff. We believe that the university should put a lot of premium on the welfare of the community itself, which is the staff and faculty. We've talked about the students already, so the staff and faculty also need to work in an environment that allows them to put out their best, that allows the system to be efficient, and that allows our staff and faculty to enjoy their work, whether it's teaching or administrative work. So we are committing ourselves to providing them with the necessary tools, equipment, as well as the enabling environment for them to enjoy their service to the university.
And I'm sure that is why you're also pushing for research support, so that they can also climb the academic ladder. Absolutely. You have to do research to be able to climb to achieve your professorial,
their professional development. And this is both for the academics and the administrative or what we call the professional staff as well. Yeah, because you're right. If you don't have the enabling environment to do research, you cannot become a professor.
But I'm going to put you on the spot a little there, because sometimes our universities, this is our premier university. But even there, and with many others, you would hear, oh, but salaries, the perks of the job. Are you looking at that as well?
The salaries.
I know I'm speaking for some lecturers, because you know what is happening.
Oh, I mean, the problem of the salaries is a major one. I mean, I'm not here to advocate for conditions of service, but if you look at what has happened to the salaries of university, employees over the last, let's say, 10 years. 10 years ago, the government at the time,
about 2014.
Yes, made the decision to, reset the salaries of, I think it was even before 2014. I think it was probably 2012 or so, or 2011. I think it was during President Kufuor's
time. It was from Kufuor. Atta Mills started work on it.
So I think it was President Kufuor's time. So it was probably earlier than 2014. But during that time, they reset the university salaries such that the entry level was equivalent. The salary for an entry level lecturer was equivalent to $1,500 US. Okay, and I can tell you that today, as a full professor and a pro vice chancellor of the University of Ghana, my salary is barely $1,000. And that's at the end of the scale. So we're not even talking about entry level. So this is at the end of the scale. So you can imagine the erosion in the salary of the university employees. And we're talking about very highly qualified people here. We're talking about people with PhDs, with loads of experience. These are the intelligentsia of our country. This is the creme, So we should do better to make sure that we can keep people here, because what will happen is that people start to look for other places to go, or they don't focus on their work. They spend more time trying to make money elsewhere, and all that is not.
Some of them split themselves into 3, 4 because they are lecturing here, lecturing there, just to break even, or even worse, they will leave altogether, go to other parts of the world.
Exactly. So it's something we need to pay attention to critically. So yes, so that is not within our power as
I intentionally brought it up.
That's not within our power as university management. That is our employers.
Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Employment. And
but as a university, what we can do is to give ourselves the opportunity to generate other sources of income, and that's what we've been doing. If you look at currently the budget of the university, we operate a budget of about 1.5 billion Ghana cedis. And only about a third of that comes from the government. So about 500 million cedis comes from the government.
Wow.
Yes. The other 2/3, we have to raise it from somewhere.
We raise about 1 billion Ghana cedis every year to keep the University of Ghana running.
Yes. And about 500 million of that comes from fees and, student, fees and other charges that we get through students or through our teaching programs. And then the other 1/3 comes from grants and other sources of income that we're able to generate. So part of the priorities of this strategic plan is to, lead us to more financial independence, which allows us to raise resources to supplement whatever we get from government, because whatever we get from government is decreasing gradually. If you look at it as part of the pie that, the budget of the university, if you look at the slice of that pie that comes from the government, it's shrinking every year because the cost of operations keep increasing every year. So right now, the government basically pays salaries, and that's it. There's no other support that comes from the government. And this is something that has been happening progressively over the years. And as a university, we need to, take steps.
We need to evolve.
We need to evolve and find other ways to, But it doesn't, sort of absolve the government from the responsibility to think about new ways of funding tertiary education. This is not a challenge that faces only the University of Ghana. All universities are dealing with it. So as a country, we need to have, a national discussion about how we are going to make our universities sustainable. Because the current trajectory is not sustainable. Yeah. We are not going to be able to have universities that are functioning properly with the current levels of funding from government and the alternative sources. School fees, for example, our school fees are regulated by Parliament. Yeah. So, as we speak, university students pay about 2,500 cedis a year. Yeah, that's the regular rate.
It depends on which, because my former school, for example, the School of Law.
Yeah, but those are special programs.
Okay,
those are special
programs.
So,
but regular undergraduate.
Yes, the special program. That's a small percentage of the students, those who can afford, like you. So we use
during our time,
we use those to try to sort of subsidize the other people, because the majority of students pay the regular fees, which is 2,500. And 2,500 for a whole year in Ghana, it can't even pay our electricity bills. Yeah. You understand? So we have to start having these discussions about the national, approach to funding tertiary education. Anyway, so we go to number 4, which is engagement and partnerships. We believe that the impact of the university can be best, delivered through engagement with our community, through engagement with government, private sector, industry, and also through international partnerships and collaborations. And so our 4th priority is to basically ramp up our engagement with our communities and with our global partners. And then the last one is what we've just been talking about, which is sustainable resource mobilization and stewardship. So we have to look at different ways of raising funds to run the university. And then we have to also look at the efficiency in which we use our resources. We have to make sure that there's, we limit waste in the system and prioritize our expenditure so that we are only addressing the most important, projects that need to be dealt with. So these are the main 5 main strategic priorities. So it's 5 strategic priorities for 5 years. So we call it 5 for 5. So that's the main thrust of our new strategic plan.
So 5 for 5, taking the university to 2029.
2029.
And all of these will run concurrently.
Concurrently. So the next phase, after tomorrow, when this is launched, the next phase is now for the university community. Each individual will have to do their part for the university to realize these strategic priorities. So we're now going to go through the implementation phase where each of the constituent units would have to develop their own plans for how to achieve these goals within their own units. And that will be the next phase that we would undertake going forward.
I also know you did a lot of consultation from your document, which I have seen, in terms of putting together this plan, which is fantastic. Yeah. I want to find out how well-grounded is this document, this plan? Yeah. Based on the consultations you have had, unlike what we've seen in some instances, I will not mention any names, where some people say they have not been consulted and
Yes.
all of that. And to feed into that, your population is burgeoning. Going back to that, what is the plan? The University of Ghana, I mean, the numbers are outrageous sometimes when I hear them.
Yeah. So
how many tens of thousands now? 50, 60?
So we are at 70,000 now.
70,000?
Yeah. But that's actually a small dip. Last year was 76,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's part of the strategy. We are conscious of the number. Indeed, if we hadn't taken deliberate steps, the numbers would have gone to 90,000 by now. So
when you say deliberate steps, you're cutting off.
No, I think that we have to be realistic, that the university doesn't have unlimited capacity to take more people. And so every year, taking more and more, it's not a sustainable path to go. So we had to basically, take the decision that we would take in only as many as we are letting out. So if we graduate 10,000 people, we'll take 10,000 people.
Wow.
If we graduate 15,000 people, we'll take 15,000 people.
Do you know what I'm thinking now? Free SHS and how, because the schools at the secondary, the senior high level are not able to cut off because of CSSPS.
Yeah.
But when they come to the tertiary level, it means you will have to cut off. You have to apply your systems and cut off those who have to be cut off.
Well, fortunately, now there are many options for students to get tertiary education. University of Ghana, of course, we are the premier university. We are the best university. So we know everybody wants to come to University of Ghana. But the reality is that we cannot keep going higher and higher. So unfortunately, some people have to go for their second choice, which is the other universities, because UG cannot take everybody. We know everybody wants to come to UG, and we appreciate that. We are proud of that. We are proud of the fact that every little child in any village, when they talk about university, they're talking about Legon, right? And so they want to come to Legon, but Legon doesn't have, unlimited capacity. So we have to stop at some point. Otherwise, the quality will start to suffer, as you're saying. Already accommodation is under so much pressure. Teaching facilities are under pressure. The number of lecturers hasn't increased. So the same lecturers, the numbers keep escalating. So we have to be mindful of the quality that we deliver, because our pride is in the quality of the training we provide.
And I appreciate your bit on the numbers, because even during our time, political science class, for example, the place will be full. You have about 3 batches, and still the room is full. And if you don't come at a certain point, you will stand outside.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
and think
it's not
about,
sustainable.
Exactly. And think about the lecturers who have to sit down and mark 2,000 scripts. How do you mark 2,000 scripts and remain sane? So it's something that has to stop somewhere. And we think that we are at saturating point, and we will maintain the numbers we have, but we cannot keep going up. So that's what we say. But just to mention that we're also outdooring 3 other documents, which is a revised status. So the status of the university, we've taken the same consultative approach that we used to develop the new strategic plan. We took the same approach to revise our status. We let the community speak on their experiences using the existing statutes, and then we took that on board and revised the statutes to make the university governance much more progressive, much more nimble, much more flexible, and enable people rather than inhibit people. So we want people to be able to take initiative, and be innovative. And so the new status, or the revised status, is an attempt to basically unleash the full potential of the university by enabling people to be bold and progressive in their decision making, and also to increase efficiency, more decentralization of processes. The university is a huge university. It's like a big city somewhere.
And in fact, sometimes you look at your land, even part of which sometimes people encroach on, but the land you have available at the University of Ghana.
Yeah, and if you look at just the operations of the university, it's like a big city, because we have operations across the world, and we need to have a more efficient system of management. That is through decentralization, and so the new statutes take that on board. We also are doing a new research strategy, which has identified new research priority areas, including infectious diseases and non-communicable diseases, as we talked about,
right,
including climate change, even including the arts. So we are University of Ghana, we are very strong in the arts. So we are prioritizing that. Okay. We are prioritizing artificial intelligence, data science, and all those. Then the existing priorities such as food production, poverty, all these are, being prioritized for our research. So the new research strategy presents, a coherent roadmap for us to deliver on our promise of transformative research.
All right.
Yes.
So my final bit to you as we wrap this conversation, I see you have your strategic direction. You talk about aspiration, vision, mission. But tomorrow, what can we expect as you launch this strategic plan? Is at the Great Hall, right?
Yes. So tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the Great Hall. All UG friends, alumni, should join us because it's the beginning of a new chapter in the university where we outdoor our vision for the next 5 years and how we are going to achieve it. We outdoor other documents that would shape the management of the university. And so we're going to have our chancellor, our chair of council, and then our vice chancellor, of course, leading the event. And some of us will be there to support as well. And it's going to be fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Prof, thank you so much for joining us this morning
pleasure.
and sharing, of course, the details of that strategic plan with us. The University of Ghana now 76, entering 76, and with that strategic plan for the next 5 years. Professor Gordon Awandare joined us for this conversation. He is Pro-Vice Chancellor, Academic and Student Affairs at the University of Ghana. He's also the Director of WACBIP. Stay with us. We'll be right back with a little more action before we wrap.